Hello, my fair ladies. Today I'm going to be talking about ultimate freedom and pleasure and how to embody it. So right now I'm on a mission. I'm after ultimate freedom and pleasure. What does that look like for me? That means being really intentional about where I'm directing my energy, where I'm using my intuition to listen to exactly what feels right for me, like what has that sort of clicking feeling inside my body. My intuition is something that I've had to just like coax out and show her that I trust her. Everything in life, every sort of relation to any aspect of yourself, whether it be your intuition, your relationship to creativity, it's all a relationship in the same way as you can think of a relationship to another person. That sort of trust has to be built, and it's not always, perfect, but the more you show up for it, the more it trusts you and the more you have that relationship. And then shortening or making absent the gap between intention or idea and action, making that gap non-existent. That is what I'm after right now, and that is ultimate freedom and pleasure, because no longer am I letting whatever mental limitations, whether it be fear, doubt, or shame, interfere between the instant where I get the idea and the instant where I act on the idea. Whatever comes in between that is just a mental interference where our body feels like it's keeping us safe because it has a memory of not being safe. Or it's learned that it's not safe to express yourself in that way, take that action. Also, a lot of the time when you're taking embodied action that your intuition is guiding you towards, it's like too scary to hold because it's like, this is exactly what I want. And a lot of the time, it actually feels really uncomfortable to hold things we want if we're not used to it. So, that's why a lot of us kind of fear success, or we sabotage ourselves in certain ways, because even though we say we want something, and a part of us really does, it takes a level of understanding that we are worthy and deserving of that thing. So taking action towards the things that I want, and shortening that gap of time between realizing that like my intuition is giving me something to do, an idea, an inspiration, and then acting upon that right away without making an excuse, because I'm recognizing that any sort of mental interference that comes in between it is an illusion. It's not real, because the true nature of things is that I and anybody can do anything when it comes to the gifts that we were put on earth with, the gifts that are calling our name. That version of us exists because it's possible, because that version of us is the version of us where we take action without letting fear stop us, sitting with the fear and just going for it. I really love pushing through that discomfort now of recognizing that something doesn't feel good because I'm scared of it, and then doing it anyways. And then every time I overcome that next level of resistance, I build more and more trust with myself. I say I want my dreams so bad that I'm willing to push through this level of resistance, and it's so delicious every time I do it, this resistance, because life without resistance, which is a life that we're conditioned to think is the best kind of life, or conditioned to be used to, where it's all just consumption and passivity and easiness, that is a life where we're not in touch with our own agency, our own powers. That's why we feel so disillusioned with ourselves, with our lives, because we can't feel that those gifts and that magic that's coursing through everything in life and ourselves. And once we free ourselves from those sorts of limitations, the mental limitations that create the excuses between the idea and the action, that is exactly when you realize that you actually are unlimited. You are unlimited, and all these narratives that you've created in your head all along to think of yourself in a certain limited way are false. They're just not true. Throughout my life, I'm going to have instances of fear, instances of doubt, for sure. But the difference is when I'm intentionally choosing to recognize that they're not real, just observing them, and honestly not even paying them that much attention is the thing. Like, you get to a point where you don't even have to really pay it attention because you're just so used to the feeling and you're so used to just like doing the thing anyway. Just building that sort of habit within yourself is a big thing. So ultimate freedom and pleasure comes from not feeling restricted in how you have to express yourself. You know, experiencing fear and shame over and over again, maybe even purposely putting yourself in those situations and then doing the thing anyway and showing yourself safety through that. Showing yourself love, enough love to say, I'm so lucky to be put on earth with these gifts and these dreams, and I'm going to do everything to honor those gifts. And every time that I use these gifts, I'm transformed by them. I'm transformed through them. Because I touch a little bit of God, of resonance within myself. And there's not even anything to be questioned. It's just like something just clicks, something is just right. There's a sort of rightness, a sort of familiarity, a sort of yes. Every cell of your being is tinged with that sort of rightness, that sort of knowing that this is exactly what I want to do. The relationship is all about showing up. That's it. The relationship is all about showing up, creating the space, also surrendering control. I sit down and I don't know what I'm going to say to you, but I just let it run because I know that however creativity wants to express through me is exactly how it's going to express, and it's going to be perfect no matter what, because whatever creation wants to move through me is perfect, not because of me, but because of the perfect nature of creation itself. And every time that creativity moves through me, it tinges all my cells with a sense of rightness, with a sense of joy, with a sense of pleasure. And I'm just in awe that I can even be in this state, that I can experience this state, that I can move creativity through me like this. And there's so many different ways I can work creativity through me, whether it's talking, whether it's drawing. I discover something new every day that makes me feel so good. I'm chasing that ultimate freedom and pleasure that comes from creativity, and not just creativity, but the fear associated with creativity, the threshold of resistance surrounding that gorgeous bubble of creativity. That's exactly what makes it delicious. I believe that a lot of people have the ability to push through. It's just that we don't have enough messaging, enough encouragement of each other to seek our greatness, to seek our gifts, to understand that when you're honoring your creativity, when you're honoring these sides of yourself where you're empowered, especially as a woman, you're doing good by the world. And that takes some pressure off of me too, like knowing that whatever I'm saying here, whatever I'm doing creatively, that makes me and transforms me into a more fearless, into a more wild, into a more free person, is exactly what's helping the world, because my embodied state is in the fabric of the world, of all beings, of every person. My happiness affects other people too. Just by me being happy, that doesn't mean I'm giving my happiness away. That doesn't mean I'm depleting myself for other people. It's a big thing to teach your body to learn a new threshold of safety, to not associate safety with smallness. It's a big thing. What I did is I started posting on my Instagram stories, just like dancing or really random stuff. I'm actually really thankful for people that trigger me in some way or make me realize that I want something within myself through feeling jealous or feeling just really aggravated, because that pushed me to realize that I wasn't honoring what I really wanted to do. So much so that I just hit a breaking point. I was like, I need to post whatever I want. I need to express all these things that I'm bottling up, all this darkness, the rage, the creativity, the magic, the rich soil, everything is all being bottled up within me. I've lived my entire life underground, not seeing the sun, not letting it out. And now that cap is popping, that cap is coming off, and I'm letting it and expressing myself because I just had to. Even with the shame, I just had to, and it felt so good to say F you to shame and just do it. That is exactly what started me on this journey of unlearning shame and thus making my way to ultimate freedom. Ultimate self-freedom, self-possession, which is also the recognition that I'm not a self, one self. I'm just an observer experiencing the different versions of me at different times. Like if there's an equation where t equals time and you plug time into that that equation also containing my mental state, my beliefs, and how I'm acting on my beliefs. Those things all make up the equation that produce who I am in one certain moment. But those variables change, time changes. I choose to transform by taking actions in different ways, by believing or not believing, letting go of certain beliefs. And that's why I'm constantly changing. But at the center of it all is just me experiencing everything, experiencing whatever I'm going through in any aspect, in any t equals time moment. And it's all perfect because that one self that's experiencing all these different selves, that one me, is not touchable by anything. It's just observing. It just is. And it is just love. So when I remember that truth, that it is just love, this compassionate observer self that's just gazing upon all of the versions of myself in my life, and it feels so right, I'm just centered in myself, and there's nothing that can really take me out of myself. Because I always have the agency too. Now, I recognize from the perspective of love, I always have the agency to choose myself. I always have agency. Nobody can take that away from me. However, people will try to shame you, make you want to play small. You always have the agency to choose yourself, because you know that choosing yourself is what is calling you and is what is doing good to the world. In a time where everybody feels so lethargic, so beaten down, so passive, placated by consumption as the only means of happiness. Nobody really actually knows what happiness is. And to me, I wrote something down yesterday about happiness. Happiness is being privy to my own living. Happiness is being aware to this miracle of life that I am living. This one life that I'm living as myself, having this agency to do whatever I want, getting to dance with the universe, dance with my creativity in this way, getting to inspire people because I have the privilege to realize that this is what life is all about. This is what happiness is, the sense of creation, the sense of expression that I get in this one and only lifetime of mine. There's not enough messaging in the world that actually shows us where happiness is, which is just being aware of our own living, of our own aliveness. We associate happiness with external validation, with getting drunk, with, feeling connected with people in a tapestry of things, but never really delving into things too deeply. There's just so many parts of our collective psyche that we're repressing when we don't acknowledge those deeper sides of ourselves, those parts of ourselves that feel so repressed, they want to play, but they're not allowed to. How come I never see any adults playing? I want to see more adults playing. Everybody's just shaming each other. Everybody is scared. But the more of us express ourselves in the ways that we feel called to, that is exactly what's going to change the world. The more we express our joy, the more we become in love with our own living through embracing and accepting every single part of ourself, every single version of ourself. That is exactly what makes us feel alive. That is exactly what makes us feel whole within ourselves. That sense of integrating and accepting all parts of ourselves, all qualities of ourselves, not deeming this thing unacceptable or this thing scary to embody, because they're all accepted. And the best thing you can do for yourself is to consciously choose to embody those things. If you're ashamed to, dance on the street, go dance on the street, and you'll show that fear that it's not real. It can't actually affect your actions. And that gap between your intention and your action becomes null, negligible. And you'll realize that you can do anything. It makes us feel good to comfort other people when they're having a bad time, when they don't feel good, when they're feeling bad about themselves, when they're feeling small. that makes other people comfortable. And people are glad to show up for us then. But it's so uncommon and rare, honestly, for women to publicly share their success online, share their joy online. But it's exactly what we need. So you are going to break through that threshold of resistance, because it's what the world needs most, and it's what your soul is craving too. It's what your soul is craving too, and there's a lot of us, so don't worry, you will find exactly who you need. You might go through a lonely period of not really relating to a lot of people, and that's just a part of the journey. You might go through public shamings, you might go through losing your friends. That's just part of the journey. But I know that you're willing. Anything to stoke out this true self, this dream, and life is going to be better than you've ever imagined. Because baby, we're after ultimate freedom and pleasure here. Yeah? Yeah. I'm after ultimate freedom and pleasure. And if you are too, come along with me.